All right, so good morning. My name is Antti Ville-Kärjä from the Music Archive JAPA here in Helsinki. JAPA, there is an acronym based on the former name of the archive, which was the Finnish Jazz and Pop Archive. So the archive is focused rather heavily on popular music and jazz and so forth. But nowadays we're trying to build a reputation for ourselves as a general music archive, the only one in Finland at the moment. Never mind what the Sibelius Archive Museum says about that. But anyway, so it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this fourth symposium organized by the UskoMus network. UskoMus, if you're familiar with Finnish, it's a pun, of course. It's built from three parts, basically. UskoMus, in general, can be translated as a belief or shibboleth. And then usko there refers to faith or confidence. And mus is a truncation of music, of course. So we have this one word that sort of builds or brings together these three terms: belief systems and music, and then the network itself. I'm compelled to show you the website we have. No. So, where you can find the basic information. The network was established in 2010 in Turku, where I used to work at that time. There were people in the departments of musicology and comparative religion or religious studies in both universities. In Turku we have two universities, the one that speaks Finnish and the one that speaks Swedish. So, but it was a kind of a nice coincidence that there were people in both universities in the similar departments there that wanted to build up this kind of a network. And then for maybe a couple of years it more or less hibernated, this network, and then during the past 2 years it's been possible to start reviving it. So this is the fourth symposium. The first one in 2010 was on music and transcendence, or actually this event in a sense celebrates the pre-network activities that took place already in 2009 in Turku, where we organized actually a seminar on I think that then we had the terms in different orders. So the seminar was Islam and music, and then for example Jonas Otterbeck was there as one of the speakers, and then there are some publications also released on the basis of previous events. For example, the Temenos journal, academic journal, on the basis of the 2010 event. There's a theme issue where you can find some of the papers and also other stuff you can find from the website. And well, it seems now, I don't know if anything is going to happen next year, but the year after we're probably in collaboration with different organizations, especially with the Finnish Society for Ethnomusicology. We're maybe trying to build a new event, maybe a bigger one on the themes in general. Well, the theme hasn't been set, and I've always said in this symposia that if there is an ism, then it's kind of suitable for the network's purposes. So if you have any ideas in mind in terms of belief systems or these kind of ideological formations that might be kind of pertinent for a discussion, please do not hesitate to bring those up and take part in the activity of the network. As I said, it's a bit low at the moment. We did have a small grant 2 years ago, which enabled us to organize these two events last year, and this is the fourth one. So the previous ones, after the music and transcendence, the second symposium was on music and nationalism, and then the third one was on music and multiculturalism. So you have the isms there. Of course, music and capitalism would be very, very nice to have at one point or something like that. But anyway, introducing this symposium itself more carefully, well, I would say that part of the reason is that we have the Etnosoi festival, which is a very good festival. I hope that you have been able to go to the concerts elsewhere, and it's a week long or more than a week long festival here in Helsinki, showcasing various musics from outside Europe mainly, I guess, or the World Music Festival. I don't know what's the proper way of characterizing it, but nevertheless, because this particular cultural center, Stoa here, they were rather interested in and have been interested in bringing forth different let's say multicultural cultural events. They hosted, for example, last spring there was this photograph exhibition here, part of the Festival of Political Photography. There was this exhibition called Hidden Islam by Niccolò de Giorgis from Italy, and they kind of felt that this would be a good place to have on the basis of that they have this connection to the questions of Islamic culture. And then also because this cultural center is located here in the eastern parts of Helsinki, which is it's kind of undeniable that many of the people coming from Middle East, Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, eastern parts of the world tend to reside here, so that this kind of a region or the cultural center caters in many ways for the people who come from those areas and who in many cases have background in Islam as well, or whether or not they are Muslims as such. But also, of course, well, I don't know if contemporary situation has changed in the past 2 years or past 5 years or so drastically here in Finland, but nevertheless I still think that the theme is continuously topical in the sense, and it seems to me at least that when we get the coverage from daily press, for example, about Islam and especially Islam and music or music and Islam, it tends to be, well, there's very little on music and Islam as such. I can't remember the latest news on really that. But if there were, they would probably have been something like that. Again, Taliban or ISIS, they beheaded some people because of playing this and that instrument. So the news coverage tends to be still dominated by these rather negative aspects and these kind of a very one-sided preconceptions about what music and Islam is, or the connection between music and Islam is about, without kind of acknowledging that there's a huge variety of activities going on, a lot of denominations, a lot of musical practices involved, a lot of ways of being a Muslim and so forth, and maybe not being a Muslim but still being labeled as a musician or Muslim musician or whatever. So that the idea here quite straightforwardly is to emphasize once again this multi-sidedness and the variety of practices and cultural forms of behavior and activity that we are dealing with when we are talking about music and Islam. And maybe one crucial background factor actually here is he's sitting over there, because Eerola, who is our first keynote speaker, is now here in Finland working for 1 year, started in the early or the beginning of September this year, and he has a project where he works with the Finnish Tatar community. And that's one thing that I think we tried to apply funding for that maybe for how many years? 5 years at least, something like that. And now it finally came true. He got funding from a Turkish foundation for this trip and is able to work here for this 1 year. But still the kind of realization maybe 5 years ago was that we have this Muslim minority or group of people here in Finland that are totally integrated into society and have practiced different forms of music for more than 100 years here as Finnish citizens and so forth. So that the kind of, but nobody really knows about them, and whether or not that's because they are kind of maybe more inward turned in one way, so maybe were because of leadership issues and so forth. But nowadays it seems that there's also people there who are more inclined to in a sense communicate and talk about and take part in the kind of activities towards the mainstream society and so forth. So the kind of the fact that Ayhan is here and is able to take part in this symposium also kind of affected the choice of the theme here. What I would like to say about the Tatars actually more, or one thing more at least, is that I don't know how many of you know, but that's because of the existence of the Tatar minority here in the country. Finland is the first country in Europe to officially recognize a Muslim segregation or community or what's the word, parish, officially. I mean, and that happened already in 1926. So we have a almost 90-year history as a country who has officially recognized the credible and totally legitimate existence of a Muslim cultural group and ethnic group here in the country. And the next one in Europe was actually Belgium, I think, in 1974. So that we were ahead in many senses, or the kind of establishment of Finland was ahead. But still, that it's a small community, a small minority, and has been under the radar for several years, more for different reasons. But one kind of interesting thing that I learned fairly recently was also that they published this book in 2011, edited by a member of the Tatar community. It was kind of a general introduction to the Tatar ways of living and Tatar culture. Tukandel is the name of the book, and it translates as a mother tongue, which is the name of their kind of unofficial national anthem, or the national song that they cherish. And there's one chapter on music there, but the chapter itself was published in 1981. So that it seems, on the basis of that book, that nobody really knows what has been going on in the realm of Tatar music in the past 35 years or so, which probably is also kind of an unfounded assumption. But there were some video clips that I was planning to show, but now it seems that I'm once again talking too much. So we probably can move ahead, but just a couple of sort of final notes. First, of course, about the program here, that I've highlighted the most important parts there in blue, meaning lunch, coffee break, and the later break there. And so it seems that if there aren't any more people, that's a sentence that I won't finish actually. But anyway, coffee and lunch would be served, or will be served in the cafeteria there, and the coffee break, I will take care of the expenses there, so don't worry about that. But please be prepared to pay for the lunch for yourself. And then, so we have the first keynote now before lunch, and then 3 presentations after lunch, and then coffee break, and then the second keynote, 3 o'clock. But this is kind of I would say that we can be rather relaxed and flexible here, so that there's no hurry anywhere. I should imagine that there's plenty of time for everybody, and then of course you're willing, you're willing, but you're also welcome to take part in the discussion. But the general format is that the speakers will talk for a certain period of time, showing their examples and so forth, and then we'll have a short discussion afterwards. And then at 6 p.m. We're hoping to have a more general discussion where we can kind of reflect upon the different presentations together, and then hopefully have a more audience, and there should be someone from Nefes also taking part in the discussion, and to talk about the issue from different stances. And then at 7 o'clock there will be the concert in the theatre hall, next door there with Nefes and friends. And yeah, that's the one thing that I should say, that there are free tickets available for that. So if you're interested in coming to the concert, just let me know and we'll get you a ticket. All right. So yeah, there was the network website, but yeah, what did I have in mind when I was writing this? Okay, so basically, so that there's this tendency. I'm sorry now, I forgot that I had this PowerPoint slideshow there and just went ahead and so but nevertheless that there's a lot of stuff written already about music in Islam. Here's one kind of a classificatory system which I would say was a revelation for me at one point. Not in terms, I'm not an expert on music in Islam or Islamic music in any ways, but still I found this very useful in terms of my kind of broader interest in music as a kind of a example of that it's not always, or it shouldn't be always kind of a crystal clear or taken for granted what music means to begin with. So that there is always different ways of defining music at issue, and in that sense the theorizations, classifications that have been produced on the basis of Islamic music can be kind of a useful model for that. I'm not saying that they're always the right models, but still the general idea is there, so that we can make on the basis of kind of a ideological / religious grounds a distinction between something that is not music but still could be labeled music by different criteria, and then we have something that might be labeled as music on the basis of the kind of Western conceptualizations of the issue. But what I would stress is that maybe we don't have to worry about so much about the question, the most interesting question for me isn't what is music in Islam, or is there music in Islam, or is music allowed in Islamic context or so forth, but rather the question, both kind of denominators there, that what is music, what is Islam, and that means to think about different genres, different denominations at issue, but also very importantly different geographical issues, as the Tatar example was supposed to kind of allude to. And then, this is something that I have to show you, the gendered differences. Where do I have it? Because I realized that, yes, we have an all-male panel here today. But what does this mean? Luckily we have not all-male audience, but still, what does it mean that when we're talking about this topic, all the presenters are male? And then what is the importance of gender in general in these issues? But then also, quite importantly, I think nowadays at least, the generational difference, and especially in relation to different generations of migration, and how not only the Muslim identity, but through that also the kind of a broader, let's say, Finnish, the ideas about what does it mean to be Finnish, for example, are changing, and there are more and more ways to be Finnish in this world than there probably used to be. But anyway, so that's the brief introduction. So once again, thank you for being here. Welcome to the event, and now we're going to go forward in the program as planned with Ayhan Eerola from Turkey as our first keynote. And as I mentioned, Ayhan is here now working with the Tatar community, but is not talking about them, but instead talking about Turkish, the locality of music in Turkey. So Ayhan, the floor is yours. But thank you and welcome.